ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning on to DBS Television for the news. Cameroon is ready to host the Total African Nations Championship CHAN 2020, which kicks off this Saturday, January 16, 2021. The competition was initially set to begin in April 2020, but was shifted to 16th of January to the 7th of February by the Confederation of African Football (CAF) as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. The quality of the sport infrastructure was praised by CAF President Constant Omari based on the report of the latest inspection visit of stadiums, training grounds and hotels, which took place in October 2020 in the three host cities of the competition, namely Yaoundé, Douala and Limbe. Football is clearly an integral part of the Cameroonian society and lifestyle, so for Cameroonians, this is a greatly symbolic and emotional load in the fact of welcoming the biggest African sporting event, the Africa Cup of Nations and CHAN, in its own way, a rehearsal before AFCON 2022. The government is deploying for the final adjustments and notably reinforcement of security for players and spectators, considering the unstable security situation in the country and especially in one of the conflict-hit parts of Cameroon hosting the competition, the Southwest region. Barely a few days after the demolition exercise that took place Saturday, January 9, 2021 at the airport neighborhood in Douala 2 subdivision, it is all sadness and disillusion as these Cameroonians struggle to pick up the pieces of their lives from these rubbles and move on. Moving on, which will be difficult, like this man says they were notified within 24 hours to quit, a time frame which, except for a miracle, could not permit anyone to have an accommodation. The leader of the bloc says they have been on the site for more than 30 years. To him, there has been an exaggeration in the exercise. Such actions only end up radicalizing the people, he adds.
À l'extrême nord, c'est pas fini, à l'est, c'est pas fini. Vous croyez que les enfants, tels que vous voyez, l'autre jour, il y a eu des échauffourées là-bas parce que ils ont contesté.
The impact of the exercise is far-reaching as these children, some of whom are in examination classes, cannot go to school. Such cases get even worse, like this man says, as many of them cannot even lay hands on their personal documents. Painful as it may be, many are trying hard to accept their new fate after the demolition. Monday, January 11, 2021 night, breaking the 12th, was a particular one in Kongsamba at the place called Carrefour Balondo. A road accident occurred at this spot, causing one death, one severe injury and material damage. A truck carrying goods like wood and many others was coming from the west region to Douala when it met the unfortunate fate. Eyewitnesses of the accident and those who saw the immediate effects recount the scenes and how they struggled to rescue those and what could be rescued, like this road user says.
The car was already on turn, then the tires were still turning. Yeah, the driver, we saw only the driver, he was still communicating. Then that's when now we started picking all these items out of the.
They say the fatal accident occurred at a pothole located on this bridge. They add that the wounded driver was quickly rushed to a nearby hospital where he is currently receiving treatment. Following the road accident, dozens of vehicles piled up on the road with travelers and passers-by stranded. Many of them, alongside elements of law and order, put hands together to clear the road and let circulation continue to flow again. Traffic was finally restored after many hours and vehicles resumed their journey. In In the east region of Cameroon, Garoua Boulay, a border town with the Central African Republic, has been welcoming a new wave of refugees from its neighboring country, shaken by a socio-political crisis for nearly a month. There is a significant number of Chinese nationals affected. There are nearly 250 Chinese formerly working with the exploitation of minerals in the Central African Republic who are now refugees in Garoua Boulay, reason why the Minister of Territorial Administration paid a visit to them to bring comfort to Chinese nationals with a donation from the head of state consisting of food and sleeping materials. The socio-political crisis in the Central African Republic has paralyzed the Cameroon border with the country, as there are around 100 trucks loaded with goods and perishable products parked along the border, a situation that is a problem for National Transport Union. Faced with the crisis, all security measures have been taken to guarantee the safety of residents and their property. One of them is the closure of the Cameroon Central African Republic border at Garoua Boulay until the resolution of the problem for an optimal security of truck drivers who are the target of the rebels and cause the Cameroonian customs huge loss in terms of revenue. Mina's visit ended with a security meeting with the traditional leaders of Garoua Boulay, law enforcement and security forces, and administrative authorities of the East region so as to work on ways to maintain order and keep peace in the area. Legislative elections in Ivory Coast are due to be held on March 6 and the submission of candidacies ends on January 20. And unlike the presidential election, this time most of the opposition parties have shown their willingness to participate in the poll, starting with the PDCI of Henri Konan Bédié and the FPI led by Pascal Affi-N'Guessan. On the other hand, this will not be the case with Guillaume Soro's GPS party. They will not take part in the election because the Ivorian government has decided to put a blockade to completely destroy the party. Meantime, the GPS party had the intention to align with all opposition parties. Its president, Guillaume Soro, is in exile with majority of its deputies. Under these conditions, and to remain faithful in its position, the GPS as an entity is maintaining its support for the opposition. In addition, 6 small opposition political groups would not go in for the legislative elections. These small parties have no elected representatives in the outgoing assembly. Guinea's Bintou Keita and South Africa's Nicolas Fing-Haysom have officially been endorsed by the United Nations Security Council as per an official announcement on Thursday as the organization's new emissaries in the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Sudan, respectively. Keita succeeds Leila Zorogi of Algeria, who will complete her assignment next month. The Secretary General is deeply grateful for Zorogi for her important contribution and service to United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Keita brings to the position more than 30 years of experience in peace, security, development, humanitarian and human rights, working in conflict and post-conflict environments. Bintou Keita was born in 1958 and joined the United Nations in 1989. Until now, she was the UN Under-Secretary General for Africa after serving as Assistant Secretary General for Peacekeeping Operations in 2017. With a rich working career, Keita holds a master's degree in social economy from the University of Paris 2, France, and a postgraduate degree in business administration and management from the University of Paris 4, France. In Congo-Brazzaville, voters would head to the polls on March 21 for presidential election, according to a presidential decree read on national television. The decree specifies that the defense and security forces would vote on March 17. The provision would allow the army and police to focus on securing the vote of the population. This will be the very first time voters would go to the polls in 2 stages since the first multi-party presidential election in 1992. A special operation to revise the electoral list has been taking place timidly since January 7 across the country, but has been shunned by the opposition, who wanted the electorate to be drawn instead from the general population and housing census, which began in 2020. Outgoing President Denis Sassou Nguesso, who has accumulated 36 years in power, was invested by his Congolese Labour Party to seek a new mandate with support from 17 other parties for the presidential majority. He would have as other contenders Mathias Zone, a former Minister of Finance, and Guy Brice Parfait Kolela, who came second in the 2016 presidential election. German Chancellor Angela Merkel's center-right party is choosing a new leader this weekend, a decision that would help shape German voters' choice of her successor at the helm of the European Union's biggest economy after her 16-year tenure. Now 66, she has steered Germany and Europe through a series of crises since she took office in 2005. Merkel stepped down as leader of the Christian Democratic Union in 2018 and said she wouldn't seek a 5th term as chancellor. Now her party is seeking its second new leader since she quit that role. That person would either run for chancellor in Germany's September 26 election or have a big say in who runs for the post. There are 3 main candidates in line, mainly conservative-leaning Friedrich Merz, more liberal state governor Armin Laschet, and prominent lawmaker Norbert Röttgen. Delegates from Germany's strongest party can choose between the 3 main candidates. There is no clear favorite. The party has dominated the central ground, ending military conscription, enabling, if not embracing, same-sex marriage, and allowing in large numbers of migrants, amongst other things. In the Netherlands, Prime Minister Mark Rutte's government stepped down on Friday after it emerged that officials had wrongly pursued thousands of people over welfare fraud. The leader of the Dutch opposition Labour Party said he would not lead the party into the Netherlands March election and will not run for re-election following the scandal. Rutte called a cabinet meeting in The Hague where ministers had to make up their minds on quitting just 2 months before a planned general election. Following the meeting, Rutte informed King Willem-Alexander of the government's resignation. Lodewijk Asscher was Minister for Social Affairs and a Vice Prime Minister in a governing coalition led by Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Asscher said he was standing down despite not having direct knowledge of the tax office's actions. "Yes, I was Minister of Social Affairs," he said in a video message. "No, I don't know what the tax office had launched an unlawful hunt for thousands of families," he added. The Dutch tax office had accused thousands of families of fraudulently claiming child welfare payments between 2013 and 2019. It demanded repayment of tens of thousands of euros, driving many families into financial ruin and, in some cases, divorce. A parliamentary report called it an unprecedented injustice to claw back tens of thousands of euros without giving the accused a chance to prove their innocence. Rutte, who has been Prime Minister since 2010, described the episode as shameful. United States President-elect Joe Biden has unveiled a $1.9 trillion stimulus package proposal designed to kick off the economy and speed up the U.S. response to the coronavirus pandemic. The proposal, the first of his two-step plan, would build on the previous stimulus legislation passed by the U.S. Congress in 2020. The wide-ranging package is designed to tackle the twin crises Biden would confront upon taking office on Wednesday, with provisions for delivering direct aid to American families, businesses, and communities, and a major focus on coronavirus testing and vaccine production and delivery as the pandemic surges. The Biden plan directs roughly $400 billion to fighting the public health crisis, including through a national vaccination program, scaling up testing and contact tracing, and providing paid sick leave to contain the virus spread, senior Biden administration officials told reporters. Less than a week before Biden takes office, he is aiming to get GOP support for the measure, although at nearly $2 trillion, the price tag is likely to be too high for many Republicans to accept. Biden's plan is meant to kick off his time in office with a large bill that sets his short-term agenda into motion quickly, helping the economy and getting a handle on a virus that has killed more than 385,000 people in the US. We have come to the end of the news. Thanks for trusting us to inform you, and we do hope to have you back when we return on Monday. Have a great weekend.